welcome back. I'm Di, and today I am bringing you my May wrap-up. In May, I read 3 novels and 3 volumes of manga. I do feel like I am getting back into like a normal reading habit, but my reading is still very slow. I listen to all 3 of the novels on audiobook, and so the only thing I really read physically were the manga volumes. I also unofficially participated in middle grade May, and it was kind of nice visiting some books that one book that I wanted to get to because it was the last book in a series that I was reading, and then a book that my daughter read when she was younger. So let's just get into it. The first book I read was Naked in Death. This is the first book in the In Death series by J.D. Robb, who is also known as Nora Roberts. This is one of my mom's favorite series. She's read every book in this series, and pretty much as soon as the books get released, I go to the library and I put her on the wait list so that when they get shipped to the library, she gets to read them as soon as possible. We do have most of this series, if not all. So yeah, I did read this a very long time ago. I think I said I read it like in the 90s when the series first came out. This one was a 1995 publication, and I must have read it in like 1997 or so. This one follows Lieutenant Eve Dallas, and she is investigating a serial killer who seems to be targeting prostitutes, and his weapon of choice is a gun, one with bullets. I think they said it's a Smith & Wesson model. But this series does take place in the future. I don't believe they gave an actual date. They do talk about the end of the 20th century though, so it's got to be further on than that. They do also mention that Smith & Wessons are antiques, and so it's very unusual that the killer is using such an expensive quote-unquote antique for his murders. Even though this was a reread for me, I did not remember anything that happened. There was one thing that I did remember, and that had to do with an appliance that she uses in this story. But that's all I remembered. I didn't remember anything from the story. I didn't remember how it went, who the killer was, what the motive was, or anything like that. So it was pretty much a fresh read for me. I did enjoy it. I will be continuing the series. But when I finished reading this one, I think I realized why I didn't immediately continue into other books in this series. There are some very difficult topics that is brought up in this storyline. I can't really tell you what it is because it will give away a lot as far as the murders. So just be warned, it does deal with some difficult topics, and if you are sensitive, you might want to take a pass. But yeah, I did enjoy this one. I will be continuing because, like I said, it is one of my mom's favorite series. We do have almost all, if not all, of the books already. And so I ended up giving this one 4 stars, and this was a carryover from my TBR for March Mystery Madness. The next 2 books I read were for middle grade May, and the first of the 2 was The Last Ever After. This is the 3rd book in the School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani. From what I understand, this is the end of the first arc in this series. I do own a box set of this series, so it was nice to get a book that, or another book from my shelf read. Naked in Death is also one that I own. And if you're not familiar with this series, it is a middle grade series about two best friends, Sophie and Agatha. And in the first book, they live in a town where the schoolmaster for the School for Good and Evil picks a student, I think it's every year, to come and attend the school. And this year, Sophie thinks that it's her year. Now, Sophie is the pink of perfection. If you know what movie that's from, high five. But she is everything girly. She loves pink. She loves dresses. She loves to just be a girl. Agatha, on the other hand, could care less about her looks. She likes black. She doesn't take care of her appearance. But nevertheless, these two are best friends. And so it comes time for the schoolmaster to pick one of the children from the town. Sophie is for sure certain that she's going to be the one that's picked, but something happens, and not only does Sophie get taken, but Agatha gets taken as well. And so they arrive at the school, and that's not the only surprise in store for them. Sophie is utterly shocked when she gets assigned to the School for Evil, and Agatha gets assigned to the School for Good. So I really enjoy this series. It does take a good look at, what it is to be good and what it is to be evil, at least as far as the really obvious things, like just because you look a certain way, does that mean you're one thing or another? If you act a certain way, does that mean that you're either good or evil? And so, yeah, I really enjoyed the journey of these two friends. This is the culmination of that journey, and I have to admit, I think it was starting from book 2 into book 3, and throughout book 3 I was very irritated with Sophie. And I think a large part of that irritation lends itself to the fact that I did listen to this on audiobook, and her voice is very high-pitched and nasally, and it just got on my nerves. So that also, combined with her actions, really made me irritated with her. And the things that she does and the things that she thinks, I don't know. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed this series. This book was very good. It is a chunker. I think it comes in at 700 something pages. Let me see. This is a special edition, so it's got a little bit of extra at the back. 655 pages. So, and I think the audiobook was something like 30 something hours. I thought it was going to take me all month to just get this one read, but it didn't. I was enjoying the book so much. I was listening to it as much as I could, any time that I could. So yeah, I do definitely recommend this series. I did give this book 4 stars. I think I gave every other book in this series 4 stars as well. And I do highly recommend this series. Now, there is a 4th book out in this series now. From my understanding, that is the start of a new arc in this series. I don't have that one yet. I do plan on reading it though. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. My first book for middle grade May, and I do have one more book for middle grade May to talk to you about. And that book is Fairy Wars. This is the first book in the Fairy Wars Chronicle series by Herbie Brennan. My daughter read this one when she was much younger. As you can see, I did pick this up from my library's used book section. I don't know why I didn't read this sooner. My daughter read this when she was like 8 or 10 years old. We do have almost every book, if not every book, of this series in our library, our personal library as well. My daughter said she really enjoyed it. My daughter does not read a lot other than manga. So I think she had to read a book for school. You know how they have those silent reading periods, and so she was interested in this one, and she ended up reading, I think, almost the entire series. But I finally got around to it. This one follows a boy named Henry, and he just figures out or happens upon a secret his mom has, and he's trying to deal with that. On the other hand, he does small jobs for an old man named Mr. Fogarty, and while he is doing said small jobs, like, you know, mowing his lawn and fixing up his house, not really fixing up because he's kind of young, but, you know, like cleaning, little small things like that, he finds a fairy. That fairy's name is Purgus, and he is the prince to the day fairies, I believe they refer them to, which are like the good fairies. And Purgus was sent to the like mortal realm because there are happenings in the fairyland, and Purgus is actually trying to get justice on this company that is unethically making their product. And so Purgus isn't supposed to be in the mortal realm, so he's trying to get back home. Mr. Fogarty, he's all over this because he really believes in fairies and whatnot. Meanwhile, Henry doesn't really believe in fairies. He doesn't believe in things like that, but it's hard to discount what his eyes see. He has conversations with Purgus. He can see and touch him. And so, kind of believing in the unbelievable and dealing with this secret that he found out about his mom are the things that he's going through at this time. And there's a little bit of a mystery in regards to what's going on in Fairyland and why Purgus was sent somewhere else in the first place. He, like I said, he wasn't supposed to end up in the mortal world. He was supposed to end up somewhere else. But for some reason, something's going on, and they don't know what or why or anything like that. So a little bit of a mystery element in there. You do have some demons, and yeah, this was an enjoyable story. Not on par with my enjoyment for The Naked in Death or The Last Ever After, though. I did end up giving this one 3 stars, so I did enjoy it, but I really did not like or understand the way Henry's family was dealing with the mom's secret. Not only that, things that happen after, it just seems so immature. I don't know if that's the right word. His mom, to me, it seemed like she wasn't acting like a mature adult about, you know, maybe finding out what her son was feeling after finding out her secret, or anything like that. Irresponsible? I'm not sure what word to use. But I didn't like the way his family handled the situations. and he does have a mom and a younger sister as well. And that whole family dynamic was really weird to me. So I really disliked that part of the story. But the things that had to do with the fairyland were very interesting. So yeah, I will be continuing eventually in this series. It wasn't one of those books where I was like, oh my gosh, I really have to read the next one right away. But it was enjoyable. And so yeah, like I said, I ended up giving this one 3 stars, and I will be continuing because I do have all of the books in the series. And the 3 volumes of manga I read were volumes 10, 11, and 12 of Black Butler. This one is by Yana Toboso, and it follows the young Earl Phantom Hive and his demonic butler Sebastian, who is quote unquote one hell of a butler. We really enjoy this series, my daughter and I. Like I said before, we have watched the first season of the anime and really enjoyed that. This arc of the series we haven't seen, and it's not part of the Book of Circus series, which is another like season of that manga. But I'm still enjoying it. We're now dealing with some zombies, and there was a nod to Titanic in these 3 volumes, and I do enjoy all things Titanic. So yeah, still really enjoying this series. We'll be continuing for sure. Just need to get the next few volumes put on hold at my library, and I ended up giving all 3 of those volumes 4 stars as usual. And that concludes everything that I read in the month of May. I had mentioned that In Death was a carryover from my March Mystery Madness TBR. I think now that only leaves 2 books that I haven't read from my March Mystery Madness TBR. One of which is Kingdom Keepers, which I was, every time I see this on the lights, I really, really like it. It's so pretty. I was going to try to get to this for March Mystery Madness for middle grade May, but I ended up reading those 2 instead. I will definitely be getting to this one sometime this summer. The other book that I had for my March Mystery Madness TBR was Brooklyn on Fire. This is the 2nd book in the Mary Handley mystery series by Lawrence H. Levy. I did mention in my March Mystery Madness TBR that I had a real issue with the first book in that series, and after thinking on it, I decided that I just wasn't interested in reading any more books in that series. So I do not have it anymore. I did end up trading it in for a couple other books at my local Little Free Library. So I took that one, the 2nd book, and the 1st book, which was 2nd Street Station, since I did have it, and I exchanged both of those for a couple of books at my Little Free Library. So hopefully somebody else will find enjoyment out of those books, but I didn't ever see myself wanting or being interested in reading that book. So yeah, I'm trying to get better about, 1, DNFing, which is something that's new to me this year, and 2, just really taking a look and deciding if I really am genuinely interested in books that I have, or if I just like collected them because I heard such great things about them. That's something that I've kind of struggled with being a watcher of BookTube, is that you hear all these great things and the book sounds so amazing, but I kind of feel like I've lost my sense of what I actually enjoy. So I have a feeling that a lot of the books that I've acquired over the last 3 years or so may not actually be to my taste. But that's okay. somebody else will like them if I decide that I don't have any interest in them. And like I said, I am a patron of my local little free library, so I'm happy to exchange books there, give somebody else the chance to read something that I may not be interested in anymore. But yeah, I think that's all I've got to talk to you about this time around. Let me know if you read any of these, or if you participated. Let me know if you read any of these, or if you participated in Middle Grade May. This was my first time participating in Middle Grade May, and I really enjoyed it. And I really should make more of an effort to read more middle grade books, because I do have a lot of them on my shelves. But yeah, that's all for today. I hope you're all doing great, and until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.